In this video, I want to talk about why I'm not a Trinitarian. In other words, I want to explain why I don't believe in the Trinity that most Christians believe. So, first of all, the word Trinity is not found in the Holy Scriptures. So, my personal belief is that everything I believe as a Christian should be found in God's holy word and not just made up. Um, so, an important thing to understand when it comes to some of the beliefs that we have as Christians is that it's some of the beliefs that we have as Christians in our different denominations. Some of those beliefs are actually erroneous, and like I stated in one of my previous videos, erroneous doctrine comes from the devil because he wants to mislead us, like the way he misled and deceived Eve in the Garden of Eden. So in the case of the Trinity, Satan wants to distort God's character and Christ's character so that we have a wrong understanding of who God is and who Christ is. So the belief in the Trinity comes from paganism and can be traced back to Egyptian mythology. There was a man called Alexander Hislop who wrote a book called The Two Babylons. And in that book he says, the reason why the book is called Two Babylons is because it's referring to ancient Babylon, which we read about in the books of Daniel, in Jeremiah, in other books of the Old Testament. So, but when the second Babylon is actually a spiritual Babylon, which is I'll just state it here, even though I'm not really discussing the issue of the Roman Empire. It's Rome, in specifically spiritual Rome, which is a Roman Catholic Church. It amazes me that sometimes people don't make the connection that the Roman Empire is actually the Roman Catholic Church, because the word is right there. It says Roman Catholic Church. So in other words, it's the religion of Rome. So and the word Catholic means universal. So it means that it's the Roman Empire which is actually being spread, or has been spread all over the world. And the many of the beliefs or doctrines of the Roman Catholic Church come from the Roman Empire, but obviously the Roman Empire also took some beliefs from the previous empires, such as Babylon, Middle Persia, and Greece. That's why in Revelation chapter 13 we see this sea beast that has the characteristics of the beast that we are shown in Daniel chapter 7, which and in that chapter we see that Daniel chapter 7 is talking about those four major empires that God is concerned about: Babylon, Medo Persia, Greece, and Rome. So this is what Alexander Hislop's book is talking about. So that's a very good book to read if you want to understand where how many of the pagan doctrines ended up in the Christian churches. One of them being the belief in the Trinity. So Babylon then copied and practiced Egyptian pagan beliefs. And I think everyone knows that in the Trinity, or the belief behind the Trinity is that there are three gods in one, and then one God in three persons. So let me just read you something from Alexander Hislop's book, because I think he makes a very good point about the Trinity. Yeah, so on page 17 of Alexander Hislop's book, The Two Babylons, he says the papacy, just so I'm not confusing anyone, the word papacy is basically referring to the Catholic Church, but especially in terms of the office of the popes. It's basically the Roman Catholic Church has been referred to, but of course the Roman Catholic Church has popes as the leaders of that system. So it says here the papacy has in some of its churches, as for instance in the monastery of the so-called Trinitarians of Madrid, an image of the triune God with 3 heads on one body. The Babylonians had something of the same. Yeah, so he's just Alexander Hislop is just saying the belief in the Trinity, where you have one God in 3 persons. That is a Babylonian belief which the Catholic Church took on, and many of the even the Protestant churches now believe in the Trinity, and it's actually it's any Protestant church that believes in the Trinity, that's actually a sign that that church has been infiltrated. I hope I can actually cover that in this talk. So just going back to Egyptian mythology, Isis was the Egyptian goddess of fertility, believed to be Semiramis, Nimrod's wife. Let me just explain that. So if we go back to the origins where the belief in the Trinity came from, it's actually believed that Nimrod, who we read about in the book of Genesis, had a wife called Semiramis. Now, Nimrod is also believed by some to be the one who was behind, the beliefs that many of today's secret societies have. That he was practicing an occult religion, but he was doing it in secret. But later on he was killed by those who actually believed in the one true God. But it said that the mythology says that his wife Semiramis managed to resurrect him just for one day, and she managed to get pregnant from him, and then she then spread this theory that Nimrod had ascended and had become one with the sun. Now the sun is in the sky. So since Semiramis was pregnant, she later gave birth to a boy who was named Tammuz, and we read about Tammuz in the book of Ezekiel. I think it's chapter 8. If you go and read there, you'll find that it says that the Jewish women were weeping for Tammuz. So those 3 became part of the Trinity. Let me just read on here. So Tammuz, who I've just referred to, who was the son of Semiramis, is known by different names, especially in different countries. So he was also known as Horus. So Horus, once again, was the son of Isis. Set was the brother of Isis, who is said to have killed Osiris. Osiris being Nimrod. So Christianity borrowed or stole the idea of a trinity from ancient Egyptians. So let me just read again from the 2 Babylons, page 19, 20, and 21. For those who would like, I'm sure you can get this book as a PDF for those who want to read it. So page 19, it says here, while this was the theory, the first person in the Godhead was practically overlooked as a great invisible, taking no immediate concern in human affairs. He was to be worshipped through silence alone. So even when we used to worship at a Newbold church, they had what they called quiet church, which is not in scripture. There's no such thing as a quiet church in scripture. But we see that this is actually being taken from paganism. It says that this God was worshipped through silence alone. That is, in point of fact, he was not worshipped by the multitude at all. The same thing is strikingly illustrated in India at this day. Though Brahma, according to the sacred books, is the first person of the Hindu triad, and the religion of Hindustan is called by his name, yet he is never worshipped, and there is scarcely a single temple in all India now in existence of those that were formerly erected to his honor. So it is in those countries of Europe where the papal system is most completely developed. In papal Italy, please listen to this next part because it's quite important. In papal Italy, as travelers universally admit, except where the gospel has recently entered, all appearance of worshipping the King eternal and invisible is almost extinct. So here, Alexander Hislop is referring to the fact that God the Father in Catholicism is hardly ever worshipped, just like in the other pagan religions, including Hinduism. So we find that in Catholicism, God the Father is hardly mentioned. The one who is mentioned quite a lot is Mary and Jesus sometimes. But of course, Mary seems to be, they actually put Mary forward as the mediator, or sometimes they call her a co-mediator. They say that she's a co-mediator with Christ, which is not biblical. We shall see why Mary is sometimes elevated above Jesus. So it says here, exactly so, in this latter respect, also was it in ancient Babylon. The Babylonians, in their popular religion, supremely worshipped a goddess mother and a son, who was represented in pictures and in images as an infant or child in his mother's arms. From Babylon, this worship of the mother and the child spread to the ends of the earth. In Egypt, the mother and the child were worshipped under the names of Isis and Osiris. In India, even to this day, as Isi and Iswara. That's in India. In Asia, as Sibyl and Dewis. In pagan Rome, as Fortuna and Jupiter Poor, or Jupiter the boy. In Greece, as Ceres, the great mother, with the babe at her breast, or as Irene, the goddess of peace, with the boy Plutus in her arms. And even in Tibet, in China, and Japan, the Jesuit missionaries were astonished to find the counterpart of Madonna and a child as devoutly worshipped in papal Rome itself. So when the Jesuits went to China and Japan, they found that the Chinese and the Japanese were already worshipping a mother and child, which they already worshipped in Rome. It says Xingmu, the Holy Mother in China, being represented with a child in her arms and a glory around her, exactly as if a Roman Catholic artist had been employed to set her up. So what's happening here is that, or what happened is that the devil knew of the prophecies. And if you go back to Genesis chapter